Hey everyone, it's Venia here from the lounge. Today is Sunday the 17th. I thought I'd come on here today with just sort of a little quick video. There were some questions that I wanted to answer and just kind of some things I wanted to cover. But first, can we say you men turned out? You turned up and you turned out. Oh my gosh. I love it. Thank you guys for making your presence known. Ladies, them guys, honey. Them guys. All right. And the cutest thing was the ladies were like spurring the guys on. They're like, oh, wow. We didn't even know that there were so many guys. We're well over the 50 mark. I won the bet. Um, it was financial. I did receive a little cash app yesterday. If not, I was going to have to send them spiritual police after her. And, like, sometimes we got to do what we got to do, right? Anyway, thanks for that. You guys are awesome. And then I really had like a duh moment because a couple people were like, all you have to do is check your analytics. Very true. Very true. I have seen my analytics. It's something I don't really. I may catch it every now and then, but not often. Um, but I hadn't even thought about that when I was, arguing with my friend. And so I appreciate you reminding me of that for the future. I'll definitely, if that comes up again. But again, guys, thank you. You guys are awesome. I was pleasantly surprised myself, just to be honest with you. I really was. I got a mem I want to read. Today I want to have like a little fun, kind of, sort of. But here's a mem. It's okay to be white. It's okay to be black. It's okay to be straight. It's okay to be gay. It's okay to be you. But it's never okay to stop at a yellow light when we both could have made it, bitch. I love that. That is me. That is just me in a nutshell, okay? Why do people do that? Seriously. You see the lights getting ready to change and I'm going to zoom through it, okay? Unless of course there's that perfect patty in front of me that decides they want to I'm going to stop. No, let's not do that, okay? But I love that. Um, that's sort of me in a nutshell. And someone had asked me, did I have a lot of Aries in my chart because of my impatience? And Aries is they're the first sign. They're the infants of the zodiac. Zero patience. I do not have a lot of Aries placements. I only have actually one. I have Jupiter in Aries, okay, and that wouldn't really give that kind of impatience. But what I do have is a Sun conjunct my Mars. Mars rules Aries. So my Sun, anything that conjuncts the Sun is made more powerful by the Sun. Okay? And Mars is conjunct my Sun. So all of those Martian attributes, those Aries attributes, the impatience, the courage, the bluntness, the um, full hardiness, because I've got that too sometimes. Um, the all of that stuff is just magnified and highlighted even more so by its relationship with my main planet, the sun. Okay, so that's what I've got going on there. All right, and in a sense, it kind of makes me even at times more Aries than Aries. At times, because like I said, anything that the planet is tight with, conjunct, it just highlights it and magnifies those qualities. All right. Okay. Let's see. How about those Alaskan protesters? Do we freaking love those guys? Not only did they have tons of signage up about Trump and Putin and how horrible they both were, but someone actually asked Putin, um, why does he still unalive people? Was that courageous? Do you love that person? And Putin's response was just, as a typical bully coward, he just looked like, "What are you talking about? What? Yeah, you know exactly what she's talking about." And you know, Putin and Russia have this huge campaign. Um, they pay for a lot of social media swaying. Okay, they've been caught at it. They've invested millions in doing this to keep Russia's image, up and positive in this. And I've seen a lot of it, especially on TikTok, um, where they're like, praising Russia for the war and, congratulating them on any win that they have. And it's just such a major BS campaign, right? And because we all know the truth, I can remember the actual day they went into Ukraine unprovoked, totally unprovoked. But anyway, so it's nice. It was so nice to see that there was someone that, in such a public forum, was just called him out. I love seeing that. I applaud that woman. I applaud the protesters there, and applaud the protesters who showed up at the White House this weekend, last couple days. They're not playing around with the so-called takeover of the city. Okay, and one of the good things that happened was a judge just struck down. A judge basically said the District of Columbia police chief will remain in power, and the Justice Department kind of backed down off of that. So that's a good thing. Um, and that you can find in the news. Um, but like I told you guys in the last video, that this really has zero to do with a distraction from the Epstein files. This has nothing to do with crime there. Don the Con doesn't care about crime. He doesn't care about um, cities, blue cities, anything like that. There is several credible threats that he and his administration are very concerned about. Physical threats. And so this all was done, and that's what I received, because I was not expecting that. Okay, I really wasn't. I wasn't expecting that. I really thought, my train of thought would have gone to be, oh, it's a distraction from the Epstein files. But I was told very clearly that this is legit precaution on threats that they've gotten from outside the country as well as inside the country. There seem to be cells of, and this is another thing that was shown to me, okay? Cells that our security people are not totally able to keep track of. Okay? And these cells are a definite threat to the administration. I don't know anything really more specific than that, but I know that there are forces that they are quite concerned about outside of this country, but also probably more so within the country, that are from, they're foreigners, but they're still in the country, okay? And they just can't keep track of them. They can't track them, they can't monitor them, and they know it. All right, so that's really what's going on with all of this, okay? And although I believe other blue city mayors um, may try to take them to court to preempt any, takeover, they're not interested. The administration's not interested really in any other cities because that's not the reason they're doing this. So they'll let a court case go through where they'll lose, and you know um, they don't even care. It has nothing to do with none of this that they're saying. It's all just a whitewashing of what the real issue is. There's a credible threat out there. I told you guys about an earthquake hitting the Philippines in my last video. They did have a 5.0 earthquake just the other day. Um, right after I put that out, um, and I just fear that there will be another. I'm seeing like a 7 something, 7.4 something. Now, to all those concerned about Erin, um, I'm just going to say, and I know it keeps shifting and I know it keeps changing because everybody was hopeful. They're saying it's going to flip up to the north and then northeast and go out. But now it's taken a little bit more westerly approach, and it's dipped, south. I cannot sugarcoat this. There is definitely a storm coming that's going to affect all of Florida. Um, I am not positive it's going to be Erin, but I'm not positive it's not going to be Erin. Okay? Unfortunately, they're not giving me the name of the storm. Maybe that's just not. Um, they don't want to get that specific yet, but I just know that there is a storm that's just going to affect the entirety of Florida. It's going to cover. And right now, I know that the Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands are getting hit with some serious winds, and I just, my thoughts and love to you. Um, just may you be protected, and hopefully you've taken precautions. But for those worried about Erin, please continue to be concerned about Erin and follow up storms, period. Okay? Let's not sugarcoat this. Um, if it's not Erin, it's going to be another one. At the time of me saying that back, I didn't know that there were three others forming. I guess they just started to form, but there's three others storming, and the one apparently right behind Erin now is, that track doesn't look good. But just keep up the precautions, buy your necessities, and just protect yourself the best way you can. And remember, I said the good thing about this happening is that it's going to force the Republicans in Florida to do something about the high cost of insurance, home ownership, and property there. It's going to somehow restructure it. And that's what I'm just getting, like a restructuring. And that's what needs to happen. Okay? people cannot go on as it is now, especially the ones that cannot afford to leave. Okay? Not everybody has like their second mansion home in Florida. Okay? There are people that their primary residence is there, and it's unsustainable. Okay? So whatever good comes out of this, we welcome it. All right. I used to live in Florida many years ago. Um, I was told probably 2 weeks before Andrew hit to get out of there. I was told by my guides, get out. And we hadn't really been planning to like leave then. It was for down the line. Um, but it came, I was warned, and I heeded that warning. It was so strong. They said, get out. Andrew, we got out, and maybe a week and a half later, Andrew hit. Where I was right on the coast. I was living in India Atlantic, and it is right on the waters, right on the ocean. Um, the apartment complex that I lived at, I found out was decimated. Okay, so that's one thing I've just never forgotten. Um, so anyway, that's kind of what I have to say on Erin. Just there's something coming. Okay, there's definitely something coming. Whether it's Erin or this one that's now formed behind it, take your precautions. Um, and of course, some of you are going to be okay. Like some of you are going to be okay. Some will not. All right, many will not. But take as much precautions as you can. All right. And I know a lot of people that are in Florida that live there. So um, it tugs at my heart, you know. Um, a judge struck down most of Florida's book ban. How do we like that? Okay. I remember when J.D. Pritzker of Illinois signed a a law that there will be no book banning in Illinois. And that's the difference between being woke and being not woke, okay? Being woke, allowing freedom to read whatever you want. Not woke is what the Republicans are engaged in, and that is book banning. Well, a judge fortunately struck down a lot of their book ban. They were sued by Penguin, which of course is a very large bookseller, book publisher, and several others, students, teachers, etc. And for now, they won. Now, I'm sure that Florida is going to appeal it at some point, but I'd love to see the progression of this. I'm glad that people are fighting back. All right. Oh, someone mentioned that there was an orb in my last video. Yes, there's always not every single one, but orbs have been reported in many of my videos. They dip in and dip out, show their little presence, or they'll make sounds. I remember one time when I was specifically talking about uh, a car. And do you guys remember, the ones that have been following me? Exactly at that moment, you could hear a car blow its horn several times right outside my window. It was, the timing was just, it was too exact. So yes, they dip in. I don't watch my videos, as I told you guys, so I don't really know what they're doing. I can see, right now as I'm doing it, but you don't always see when the orbs come in. But I'm not surprised. Um, I've told you guys we are never alone, ever. Okay? We're never alone. And that's just one proof of it. They're always around, whether I can see them or sense them or feel them. A lot of times I tell you that they dip out on me. If I'm going to do a video and they're not really feeling it, it's like a desert. I can't sense them. I can't see or their impressions. I can't feel them. They're like, hey, girl, you do your thing. Have fun. We're out. But you go ahead and do your thing. Okay? But when they sanction a video, they're giving me stuff constantly. And they're even, they sort of set the tone and set the mood. Okay? All right? So, I told you guys I wanted to have a little fun. So, I want to tell you about this. So, there was someone that said, Vina, I love your sense of humor. Vina, they've titled it Spirit's Sense of Humor. I love your sense of humor. It has really helped me to realize that I don't always have to be serious. I can enjoy life. Can you please tell what is the funniest moment you've ever had? Okay, I almost wasn't going to answer this publicly. I was just going to write them back. And by the way, most of the people, a lot of people were asking, where do I submit questions? Right on the YouTube channel. Right there under comments. You can put your questions. Most people do. But anyway, I almost was just going to answer this privately, but I think I'll just talk about it because it's a fun moment. I'm very much ashamed of myself now. But, I mean, it happened, and I'm not going to lie about it. So, but anyway, a coworker of my husband's passed, and so we decided to attend the funeral. And at the funeral, we're sitting there, like everyone else, and they get to the point where they're, they start reading the cards, right? And so this really short lady, and I mean, she's shorter than me. I'm only 5'1". So she's, a couple inches shorter than me. So she walks up to the podium, and they've got the speaker up there. And so she's so short that, she's like this, okay? And so she starts reading. And so you can't understand a word. I don't know whether the speaker was off or whatever. She was too far away. But after a while, I kind of started laughing because it sounded like. So I just started laughing. But I'm quiet laughing to myself. And I look over at my husband, and he's looking like. But he's like, stop. But the lady's just mumbling on and on. And I don't know. I think I was possessed that day, honestly, because it started to be so hilarious I couldn't stop. So I'm in full force giggle mode. I'm still quiet, that kind of thing, right? And he gives me this look at first. It's like, but then after a while, I notice he starts laughing. So once he started laughing, that was it for me. I was done. Okay, so now I'm super giggling, laughing. I've got tears coming out of my eyes. The lady's still mumbling. My husband is he's laughing as much as I am. So one of his co-workers that worked with the guy and my husband, he's sitting right in front of us, and he turns around and he gives us a look like, what are you doing? So that made us laugh even more. So now my husband and I are in full giggle mode, okay? And we're trying, bless our hearts, we're really trying to keep it quiet. But it got to the point I couldn't do it anymore. So I slid off the pew. Now I'm in a dress and heels. I slide off the pew and I'm literally kneeling on the floor, okay? So that I'm sunk down so no one sees me. So my husband, he's already in giggle mode too. So he's looking at me. So he just totally leans over on the pew and lays down, flat laying down. So, so now we're completely like, he's crying, I'm crying, laughing. My stomach is killing me. Like I got cramps in my stomach. I'm laughing. The lady will not shut up. She just will not shut. No one can understand a word she's saying. It's really all her fault. Seriously, it's all her fault. But anyway, so now we're giggling, laughing, can't stop. My stomach's killing me. Next thing I know, I see these white, because I'm on the floor now, remember, okay? I see these white shoes approach us because my husband was on the aisle and I'm next to him. The white shoes come up. It's one of the usher ladies, right? Now, you know how strict they are. So she looks at both of us. She's like, so that made my husband just, for the first time, he just burst out laughing where everyone could hear. So now, of course, that makes me burst out, right? That was his fault. So she's like, so now they got another person coming. Okay? There's two of them, right? So my husband is able to get up, stand up, and walk. So he looks back at me. I'm still on the floor, okay? And he looks at me like, yeah, you're in trouble now. So I crawl over to the end of the aisle. I'm trying to make my way up, and my stomach just is just completely cramped from laughing so hard, right? And I finally make it up, and I know my makeup looked like a hot mess. And I get up, and these ladies are looking, and they're following me out. And so I'm still laughing. And so I walk, we walk down the aisle. My husband's already passed. And then I get to the end of the aisle, getting ready to walk out the door. Okay? And one of the women said, "You all should be ashamed of yourself." And oh, God. If I could have responded to the person, to this woman, I would have said, "Sweetheart, I am more than ashamed of myself. You don't know how I begged God to just stop me, like kill me right there so I could stop laughing, but I just couldn't. I just couldn't." So anyway, and then when we got outside, my husband says, "I will never, I don't care who dies, ever go to a funeral with you again. Ever." He said, "I don't care who it is." And then we laughed about that. But anyway, so that was probably the funniest thing that's ever happened to me. Getting kicked out of a funeral. Okay. I know, if there's a hell that you guys say, I'm going. We're there. My husband and I have a room booked. They're going to let us right in. But I'm sorry, that woman, I don't know what was going on between the microphone and her being so short and not pronouncing the words or whatever. But anyway, to the person who actually passed, I'm so sorry that I made such a spectacle at your funeral. It was not intentional. No disrespect to you at all, but it truly was not our fault. It may have been my husband's fault. You can get him. But seriously, I just did not plan that. All right? So, all right. Hope that answers your question. And I'm glad that you are learning and experiencing that humor is divine. Okay? Uh, I have talked about it in my books. My guide actually had joked with me several times, um, and made fun of me in a loving way, of course, but actually made fun of me, made fun of my hairstyle at the time, um, which was horrendous. But there is nothing ultra serious about the spiritual realms. There's a lightness, there's love, there is all of that. There is humor, um, there is true divinity, um, there is true reverence. Okay, um, there's so many things there. And someone also asked, and I didn't save the question. Let's see if I can find it. But they were asking about the life review. After death, does the spirit go through a life review to evaluate how one interacted with others in their life, whether they achieved any goal experiences during the lifetime? So, during my near death experience, I did not have a life review per se. Okay? But I can tell you this because of another experience that I had. Actually, two experiences that I had. One during the near death experience, and one during a visit to the void, through the void. Okay? That everything is recorded. Everything that we do um, while active in physical form is recorded. Okay? And it is impressioned, okay, into what I call the master recorder, right? You know how you have a master studio? You have the master recorder, and that's the Akashic Records. We call it the Akashic Records. Believe it or not, Spirit calls it something else. It has another spiritual type of name that is not pronounceable here in this realm. But anyway, so all of our actions, thoughts, anything that we do with intention, with focused intention, okay, is recorded. Okay? And so we will have that chance to go through that recording, that master copy that's recorded. Okay? And all of the sense impressions, feelings, etc., that are attached to items in that master recording, we will also experience and feel them too. Anything that is connected to our intentional actions, right? Anything and anyone, okay, we will be made aware of. Now, I'm being given this as we're speaking. Okay, and I love that the way they're putting this, because I wouldn't have probably come up with these words. So think of yourself producing a master tape of you singing a song, right? And that song you're singing about falling in love, okay? And all those experiences you shared with the loved one and the feelings you had with that loved one and everything that you did, you're putting it in that song. All of those feelings, all of those memories, all of those connections, okay, are recorded, and those impressions will be available for your review, and you will feel everything in those impressions, every nuance, okay, every one that was affected, okay, by you, by that song, okay. So that is why you ever see someone dropping a pebble into water, and you see the ripple out, right? You see the water ripple out from that drop, okay? It's just like your actions and those you affect around you, and because of your actions in that ripple. During your life review, you will see all of that. How they felt, you felt, all sensory, all the sensory feelings, connections, etc. You will feel and experience and see all of that. Now remember, your senses on the other side are much different than here, okay? So it'll be like you will absorb everything, okay? But it will not crush you, and it will not cave you in, okay? It will give you an awareness, okay? And you will also understand why you did certain things the way you did, why you didn't do certain things. You will have a acute awareness of all of that. You will see the full picture instead of just part of it. All right, so yes, we do have a life review. There's another situation that we can experience here, and it's called the dark night of the soul, and I've had one of those. And it's where your true self, okay, is laid bare before you. You see everything about yourself, and let me tell you, it's one of the most humbling experiences you could have, all right, because there's no good lens. You know, sometimes when we look at stuff we've done, we're like, well, yeah, I did this, but the reason I did it was because no. During the dark night of the soul, you're not looking from your standpoint. You're looking at the reality of exactly who you are. And sometimes, let me tell you, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And it's very humbling. And my remembrance of looking at who exactly I was is one of the things that keeps me, I will say, in a humble state of mind, in the sense that I'd rather be honest about who and what I am than bullshit myself. because there is no bullshitting of the universe. We can't BS the universe. I was thinking of, I was watching the show the other day and looking at, there were two different Republican politicians on there. They're not even important enough to name, but someone had asked them a question about, do you like what this administration is doing? And you could just see, like, they prepped their mind to lie, okay? And they came out with some lies and stuff. And, and they were proud of themselves for doing that. And just when I saw that, I said to myself, they can BS the reporter, they can BS their supporters, they can BS even themselves, right? But they can't BS the universe. You just can't. So that's the dark night of the soul. And although not the exact same thing as a life review, very similar. Okay? Very similar. And you can have that dark night of the soul here, or also on the other side. You'll just see who and what you're made of. All right? So, okay. Several of you were so touched by the blind man that received help, after his service dog was taken. And you loved it that he was getting the help, but then a couple of you were like, oh my God, but what about the dog? We're still worried about the dog because it wasn't returned to them. Divine love is never half-ass. Ever. When it does and when it moves, okay, there's perfection in how it moves. It covers all bases. Okay? It's not half-ass. So whatever happened to this dog, you can best believe it is in the perfect... I want you to imagine a geometric form, right? Look behind me at my cube. You can see that prism now. It's not a prism, it's a circular sphere, but you can see, look at how perfect it is over this shoulder, right? Look how perfect that is. Okay? That is how love moves. Every piece is perfect. When it makes its move, it covers all the bases, all areas. Okay? So don't be concerned about the dog. Who knows what could have happened to the dog, but I can tell you this, it was in the mix of whatever good happened to this man. There was some type of goodness that happened with the dog. Okay, whether the dog is being taken care of by someone else, or someone found the dog and is taking care of him, or whatever. Okay? Divine love is not ever half-ass. Ever. It's incapable of being that way. All right. Let's see. Oh, okay. No one has been able to answer this yet. If Elon, Starlink, Trump, and their minions control the election machines and cheated in New York, Rockland County, to name one of many districts, can someone tell me how the Democrats are going to win any election moving forward? I always talk about stepping back and looking at the big picture. Okay? A while ago, I used the analogy of being on the love train, right? Being an observer, but staying on the divine love train, right? How do we know that Don the Con winning wasn't part of the divine plan, right? Nothing moves, okay? Nothing moves unless it's in accord with the background of divine love, okay? Now, I can see now we as a country needed to go through what we are dealing with now, because all of this stuff needs to be rooted out, okay, put up in the forefront so that we can fix it, grow from it, and move on from it. There are things now that people are realizing that existed that didn't realize before. And that would have never have happened if he didn't win. So yes, maybe cheating went on, and it did, okay? However, that cheating was part of the overall divine plan. Whether we like it or not, it was. Needed to happen. Divine love doesn't just stop and start, okay, like a car with a bad carburetor. It just doesn't, go forward and then stop. No, it's always pulsing. I tell you guys that continuously. It's always pulsing, always beating. Okay? And the way it has to do things has to be for the way we're viewing things. Stuff doesn't always come pretty. So, I say all that to say, by the time the midterms come around, we don't know what could happen. There could be a whole completely different scenario. And let me tell you this, okay? Let me just say this. If Democrats are supposed to win and take over, because that's part of the divine plan, it won't matter who controls those machines. Elon or anyone. They will win, period. There is nothing, there's no force on earth that is more powerful than the force that sustains us, which is divine love. That's a fact. It won't matter whether Ivanka controls every single machine in this country. It won't matter whether EM is literally pushing buttons, changing votes. If divine love doesn't deem it to happen, it's just not going to happen. Remember, what is truly in charge? The spiritual has dominion over this physical realm. This physical realm is part of the spiritual realm. Remember that. And if you can comprehend that, then you will understand that it won't matter if they try to cheat, what they try to do. In each video, I try to show you different ways in which they're trying to do something and it gets pushed back or it gets nullified or it gets whatever. You have to look at the bigger picture. You know, think of the ant, right? That's carrying a leaf, okay? And as far as that ant's concerned, he's like the most powerful thing ever, right? And then just think of I don't know, someone walking, not really paying attention to what they're, what's on the ground, and steps on that ant, right? The ant thought it was just all powerful, and it wasn't. It wasn't. Okay? So, and I'm sure I'll have to address this again, but that's okay. That's okay. So, I'm going to leave it there because I've already talked quite at length. And I'm sure probably some of you are like, you know what? After that funeral story, Veen, I'm done with you. And I understand. Oh my God, I understand. That poor guy, like that poor man. Oh, jeez. Oh, anyway. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I will be back shortly. And thank you for all who are wishing me well about my issue with my shoulder. Just so you know, the two major x-rays that came back did not show any type of a mass, any type of real issue, which is a tad bit frustrating because there is something going on. It's not really the shoulder, it's kind of deep inside the armpit. But there's no mass, there's no whatever. I do have an ultrasound scheduled for next month. Hopefully that'll reveal something. Um, so, I mean, in a sense, I'm extremely grateful that, you know, nothing wrong was shown, but also I know that there's something there. So, um, love's going to work that out for me too. It really is. It's going to work that out. All right. So, but take care, guys, and we shall talk soon.